We are?
Oh, we are live. We're pre-live. We're pre-live.
I laughed. The best thing we ever did by Carla. The best thing we ever did was deciding that this was like behind the scenes as opposed to like super polished. Because I was standing outside with the dog. It's raining. And I thought, whatever, it's behind the scenes. I couldn't handle the pressure of having, I would look the same.
I would too. And you know what I think is great about it for us? I think it puts us in, we have these like levels, like where you and I connect, we make sure all the audio is working, we turn on the cameras, then we chit chat for like 3 minutes, and it gets us into like the mode, and then we do the official, and then it's like we're automatically more relaxed because
you can pick what you want to see. Like if you really want to see us as like super highly organized iTunes people, then
just watch iTunes.
Yes.
With our little intro music and our post music, and it's all polished. And then here it's like, do I have a note? Oh my God, my hair's messy. What's happening? I don't know. I almost forgot.
Yes. It is the choosing. Yeah. Choose the Ronnie and Carla the way you would like to.
By the way, this is I've saved this cup. So I went to the movies a few weeks ago with friends, and I ordered a large. I used to get large unsweetened iced teas. That's my like treat at the. Well, anyway, they changed their offerings, and now they have those Coke machines where they have like a billion options. Have you seen these? They're all over right now.
That is my dream to have that in my
kitchen. It's perfect for you, and I hate it.
Horrible. Yes.
I hate it. So they give me this cup, and I was like, oh, can I have a large unsweetened iced tea? And they're like, oh, well, you can get it yourself. And I'm like,
oh, interesting. Do they have the iced tea in there?
No, that's what I mean. So then I go, and I'm like, there's no unsweetened iced tea. Everything's like diet or sweetened, and I don't do any of those.
Yes.
So then I ended up with this huge cup, and I'd like pick some random like flavored water or something. But then I've kept the cup. It's about a month, and now it's my water cup. And so, I mean, what is it, like 80 ounces? I don't even know. This is just ridiculousness.
I was really proud of myself when I saw our old friend, Lisa, workout mommy. Do you remember her? Mm-hmm. She put a picture on Facebook of herself. God bless her. It was filled with Diet Pepsi. I think that's her drink of choice. But it was the biggest mug I had ever seen. Plastic with a handle. And I thought, if I filled that each morning with water and just drank that.
Yeah, that's why I do it. And I fill it up about 3/4 of the way because it's too heavy.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
And plus, like, got all the condensation drips down. But then I usually end up filling it about 3 times a day. So I was like, I don't worry about but I know I'm drinking my water because I use that every day. So it's fun.
I would never forget when my child was potty training, and then we can start. Yes. She would not need to go to the bathroom because I drink so much water because I'm pairing my water with Diet Coke. I would need to pee, and we would go into stores, and I would ask for a restroom, and they'd say, oh man, we don't have one. And then I would motion at her and say, are you sure? And they're like, oh honey, come on. I needed to pee.
Using your daughter.
Yes. I'm excited for this week. We're just going to go. I think
okay. Do you want to bring us in, or should I bring us in?
I'll bring it in. Oh, okay. No.
Actually, I brought in the first 14, so it doesn't really matter.
I'll bring it in, but we are episode 16.
16, yes.
Okay,
yes.
I'm ready.
It's all you.
Hey, welcome to episode 16. By the time you see this, it will not be, but right now it is book launch week, and actually the day after book launch.
Yes. Oh, Thunderclap went down?
Thunderclap went down, and I really didn't. In a really great way. I noticed it because I was looking for it, but I don't find them very spammy. What did you think? I was actually all that I had hoped.
It happened at noon my time, correct? So I was kind of at lunch and doing things. So yeah, I felt like I came back and I went, oh, look at these. There's some fun mentions, but it wasn't over the top, which I think is really, although I did have someone at the gym say they forgot they signed up. And then someone liked their automatic Facebook post about the book. And they were like, wait, I didn't put that up there. How did that get up there?
Oh, funny. I can see that. And I actually had some people say to me, tag me underneath theirs because their friends jumped in and said things. I think Bex was one of them. Her friend said, oh, thank you for this, because I was trying to remember to ask you for the link to the book.
Oh, that's cool.
And she's like, look, it worked. I know. It was fun. And I actually saw, you know who Tim Ferriss is? He did the 4-hour work week. And
yes,
he used Thunderclap after we did. And what he used it for, which I thought was super interesting, is I think to promote his new TV show.
Oh, well, you could really use it to promote anything.
Yes.
It's funny. I told the husband, I said, we did this thunderclap thing. And I mean, I've been honest with you from the beginning. I'm like, I kind of get it, but I don't get it. Like, I didn't like, there's certain things on social media that I'm immediately like, oh, that makes total sense. Why aren't I doing that? And other things I'm kind of like, I'm not sure that's going to work, or what's the And thunderclap for me was really honestly one of them. I was like, I get it. The idea that like, we're going to have this like push on social media to like announce the book or something. But at the same time, I'm like, it's such a flash in the pan. Is that the right expression? Flash in the pan.
You're exactly. It's that clap of thunder and it's done.
And it's done. And then it's like, I'm like, well, and then I tend to fear, kind of like my friend at the gym, like, are people going to sign up and think we're spamming them, or that like we've hacked their accounts to promote our book or something? I tend to think of the negatives with the automated stuff like that. But yeah, no, it was great. I thought it was really fun.
And I was really excited. We saw Venus Williams sent out a thunderclap tweet, which I was sharing this with a friend, and I said it to you that we have a thing in the book. We have no problems asking for what we need, but it's always such a fantastic surprise when people jump in and do it and you didn't need to even ask.
No, it's true. And it's true. And we got such a great email yesterday sent through the wycwyc website.
Oh my gosh, with the C word.
How wycwyc is contagious, and how this one reader's husband is popped on the bandwagon and he totally, quote, gets it, which is like the best. You know, I love when someone says, oh, they get it, or he gets it. Or I'm like, yes, people who get it, just kind of helps that click happen in their brain, which is awesome.
And that goes into what I wanted to share.
Great.
And I've been thinking about this since it happened, and thinking about our talk last week about your trip and how Bill's like, yeah, okay, you take the stairs, I'm taking the elevator. Right. And I allude to it, but I don't talk a lot about how my husband's never home really during the week. He travels. And so we do stuff on the weekends. So it's really interesting. Texas is such a car culture, and I could drag him a little more on his feet in Oakland, but he's kind of clicked quickly back into, like I said, I would drive to the mailbox because it's like hot. And I just did. It was my default back when we lived here years ago. So we went to get his mom a Mother's Day gift, and we bought her something. I won't say what it is, not that she's listening. And it was, I don't even know how many steps, super close. It was one of those strip malls. And he bought her an embroidered pillow. So it was nothing heavy. So we went back to the car, and I saw him about to get in to drive over to like the mailing place. Store. Yes. And I thought, this is going to get awkward because there's no opportunity here to say, you drive and I'll meet you there, like there is with the elevator. And I thought, I really want to walk, because that is my whole fitness now, is fitting it in. And I thought, it's a beautiful day. It's only like 80. It's going to be 110 soon. And I said, and it felt really, I wanted to share because it felt really uncomfortable for me. It did. It felt very like, I'm pushing this on you. And so I said, let's walk. And he kind of looked at me, and I said, I'll carry the pillow. And then he looked at me and said, I can carry a pillow. But I thought, I am not backing down. It sounds super crazy. But I thought, you know what? To me, it would be so depressing. It would be capitulating and becoming part of the Texas car culture again, to get in that dang car and drive to the mailing place. So I just said it, and I didn't offer him any options of doing anything else. And we walked over and walked back. But it was really uncomfortable for me, but I did it anyways. It felt great.
No, that's good for you. I mean, I think it's funny because I think the way that you present it does kind of affect the mood of whether or not you're. So I think sometimes it's easy to do with kids because you can make it playful. And sometimes when when I have the kid, when it's just the husband and I think it does feel more awkward than when it's me and the kids, because I'll say, well, the kids and I will walk, we'll meet you there. And
or even if my daughter wanted to get in the car with him, it would have been less awkward. Like, hey, I'll meet you guys over there. But just the two of us, it felt super awkward. Like I couldn't say, drive over. And I don't think, not to throw him under the bus, that he gets it yet. I honestly don't think. And it was that moment of, I do think he's still a little more of because we both trained like bodybuilders together back in the day. This doesn't count. Right.
Work outside in the gym, and
these extra steps.
Rest of the life is efficient, fast as possible, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I totally know. Well, and it's funny because your story, the one time, this was a few years ago, I blogged about like tips or I was sharing a story. I can't actually even remember the details, but I was sharing a story about that very thing, which was the strip mall scenario and the not going back to your car to drive to the store at the other end of the strip mall instead and walking. And I had a commenter say, really? This is a thing? Like people drive to the other end? And I'm thinking, yes, it is a thing.
You really do. And that was my default for years, especially in the heat. If it had been 100 degrees, I still might have thought it's easy to walk, but I would have gotten in the car.
Yeah, well, and I guess it depends on like what you have on your plate for the rest of the day and whether or not you can afford to be sweaty and I mean there's always a lot of variables at play.
I think you're right. You nailed it because it was that gift of we have nowhere to go. We're in no hurry. In fact, we had a babysitter and too much time.
Yes. But I do think it's funny because I feel like there are two groups of people, like not to beat over the whole, there's two types of people in the world. But I really do think there are people who it just seems natural to walk and to look at not even to look at them as opportunities, but just to do them by default. And then there's the other group of people that they don't even think about it as an option. They just get in their car. Like I feel like, I don't know.
People born like the first one, because I know to say for the 100th time, I really would drive to the mailbox. It was like, that's what I did 3 years ago.
No, I think I do think it's habits. I mean, it's kind of like, there's things that I've changed about my default where I used to joke when I was in college, I would literally drive a quarter of a mile from my apartment and I mean, frankly, I was lazy. I didn't want to leave earlier because I'd have to leave like 15 minutes earlier to count for the walk. I didn't want to carry my books. It wasn't the mode I was in. The mode I was in was, frankly, lazy college student who didn't care. And really you're going to laugh at me. The parking tickets were only $5 back then. And $5 was more money than it is now, but it still was a little bit back then as well.
But it was worth it to you.
And I kept thinking to myself, and I would joke with my friends. I'm like, it's like $5 to park. I'm like, that's not bad for a day of parking.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I totally was the same.
And looking back now, it's really funny because the person I am now, my car wouldn't have moved when I was in, like, I live now, the closest thing to me, everything is about a mile away from my house. Everything's not super, super close, but it's not super, super far. The fact that I walk Evan to school, which is just over a mile there and back, so it's almost 2 miles, is like 5 times the distance it was for me to get to one of my college classes.
I think about that too. And I wonder if there's some level of, I think about you and Bill and how things have changed with you since you've been together. And I think about our emailer, and I'd be curious how long she's been with her boyfriend to have that be kind of contagious. Because I did change so much on Chris, just what I shared when we were talking about walking. It was that being in Oakland opened my eyes. And I think it's got to be hard for people when you change. You don't necessarily want them to change, but they don't.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I know for the husband and I, knowing that I'm the one that changed and keeping that kind of at the forefront of my own brain is something that I think helps in a way, because if you're the catalyst of the change, you almost, you do naturally get frustrated at a partner who may not be on the same like healthy bandwagon that you are on, but you also have to go, well, when we first met or when we got married, I wasn't like this. So you can't really fault them for maybe having a little resistance or not having the same goals as you. And then you really start, any relationship that's any amount of time, like a long period of time. And you and I both know this, we're in long-term relationships. There's a point where everyone changes. You just do. So you either have to learn how to live with your changed partner, or you come, it's just, it's the nature of any relationship. I don't think it's even solely due to one person in a relationship getting healthy and the other one not. Or
romance. It's friendship too. Yes. Yeah. And it was so interesting. And it was such a great moment for me because I thought, oh, now I totally, not that I ever really lost it, but I get the people that are just book out officially yesterday, buying the book and starting the whole mindset, how awkward it is. And it didn't become a standoff, but I did say, let's walk. And then reminded myself, because being who I am, not being a woman, my next thought was to say, or if you really want to drive, we can drive. But I thought, no, it's like with a 9-year-old, I don't offer options where I'm not in love with them both. I thought you're a grown up. If you really don't want to walk, you'll just say, nah, I'll drive and meet you there. So I just said, let's walk, and left it.
Yeah, I think balancing that, balancing your assertiveness with like kindness is kind of an interesting, because I know I'll say usually, and it really depends on our moods. Like sometimes I'll be playful with it, like, oh, let's walk. It'll be fun. Come on, let's do it. And I kind of do that like playful, flirty, like it'll be fun kind of thing. But then there are other times where maybe we're not in that mode that day, or we're both, busy or whatever. And I'll more pose it in the, you know what, I'm going to walk. I'd love for you to come with me, but if not, I'll meet you over there. Like I tend to like do it more nonchalant. I really think it depends on like the day and our mood and how busy we are. But I think, well, like yesterday, I actually have a similar story yesterday. The husband wanted to go out to lunch again. He wants to go out to lunch every day. And I'm like, look, I really don't want to go. I don't want to spend the money, and I want to eat all this great food that I went, grocery shopping for the week. But I also understand, because we both work from home. So he's locked in his office 8 hours a day. And he's like,
wanting to go out every day for that reason.
He's like, I need to get out. I just need to get out of the house. And I'm like, okay. So I said, well, what about this? Why don't we, instead of going to the place that he wanted to go to, I said, why don't we go to the food court at the mall? We can walk a lap around the mall, and I'll bring lunch. I'll bring a salad that I can eat with you at the food court, because it doesn't matter if you bring, no one's going to, I don't think it's against the rules.
It's not like bringing a salad to the restaurant. Okay, so I saw the picture on Instagram. You brought that from home. I confused.
So I made a salad at home. I made a salad at home really quick, and then I brought it with us, and then he got whatever he wanted at the food court. I ate my salad with him at the food court, and we walked a lap around the top floor of the mall. So I feel like that was an easy compromise. Sometimes
but you didn't feel like you needed to couch I'm fascinated by this. So I'd like to think all of our listeners are as well. You did not need to drape the walk a lap around the wall with any kind of disclaimer of, we can look around and walk around. He knew the sole intent.
No, well, he knows me. So he's because I said, well, and if I back up a little bit, when he came over to ask me if I wanted to go to lunch, I said, well, why can't we eat here and take a walk? Meaning get out of the house.
Perfect. Yes.
But then he was like, no, I really want to go someplace. And I'm like, okay, well then why don't we go to the mall and walk, and you can eat there, and I can bring a lunch. It was kind of like this.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of like I find sometimes that people, I don't know, I tend to do a really good job of kind of reacting into the situation and coming up with a compromise in the moment. So that was the compromise in the moment, and it really worked. And actually I was like, dude, we could do this once a week. It's one more lunch you can get out, and I could bring anything I want to the mall in a little Tupperware dish. And it worked out really great. And I thought, well, this is a really good example of like a wycwyc compromising
that works
moment.
For both.
Yeah.
Have you seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High? Please
of course.
Okay. The food courts will always remind me of that, in the whole line of, when people say Damone's we'll say jerk.
Yes.
And they say it a lot, but food courts always remind me of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. But that's a great idea.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. We're lucky again, because we have a mall within 2 miles from the house, and we can, it works for our current situation and our location. So that works. Today, I'm hoping to get him to eat at home with me and take a walk around the block, but we'll see.
When my husband worked at home for a short stint, it was like 6 weeks. I'm going to out him on this one. He went to Chick-fil-A every single day, the drive-through. And I swear I wanted to start going in there with him and saying, listen, I offer to cook for him. It's not that, but every day. And then he brought it home, and I thought, that's you're getting out of the house. That's great. And then,
you can't, and I was that person, like when we first started working right out of college, it's going to sound really strange to people. We have always worked together. We got the same master's degree program. We graduated together, and then we got a job at the same company, which is really weird. Yeah. So when we first started our careers, we were working at the same company, and we didn't know anyone at the company when we first started. So we started going to lunch every day.
Were you dating or married?
We were dating at the time. It was a year before we got married, but at that point we were already dating for like 5 years. So
got it.
Yeah. So we would go to lunch, and really like the first year I worked there, like we went to lunch every day. And then like people started to come with us, and it became like a cultural thing at the office, like where the group of us would go out to lunch. Was great. But we had like 4 or 5 places. Everybody knew who we were. They knew what we ordered.
Yes, I remember. Yes, that for my first job. And now I look back, being who I am now and just think, how much money did I spend?
Oh, I know.
It's more that.
It is more that for me, actually. I look at our finances and I'm like, oh my gosh, if we just didn't eat out, we would be so much better off. But it's such a balance and it's such a cultural thing. And I feel like
it really is.
It's really a cultural
I'm grateful
thing.
not to work in an office for that reason, because I see so many of my female friends feeling like a lot of them live in Manhattan. I don't have the money really to eat out for lunch, but everybody goes, and that's when they're networking, and it's forget the food, it's the expense, but it is a cultural thing.
It is a cultural thing. And I think, and I think sometimes it's one of those things that people feel like and it's like we always talk about, we don't have the time to walk, we don't have the time for this, and we're in this busy mode. We think, oh, we don't have time to make lunch, and we think we're saving time, but really, it's really like when I was teaching at the college, my lunch was just whatever leftovers I had from dinner before. I never had to go out of my way to make a lunch. I would just package up the leftovers from dinner, and boom, I would freeze some. If I had lots of leftover, I would freeze some. And then I got into this habit of pulling out frozen leftover in Tupperware dishes, bringing it to work. Then I didn't have to worry about refrigeration because I'd leave it out. Then by the time lunch would come, it was defrosted enough to put in the microwave, and lunch was there. And so actually, I kind of liked working in the academic environment because everyone's schedules were so crazy that you generally,
I was a professor.
You didn't have that lunch hour. People who were around would just kind of all eat, in the office, and then, someone had to leave because class was starting or something. So we generally didn't leave campus to eat, which was kind of nice.
Okay, I got to tag on that. I'm sure you've heard this. And Tamara Grand, the Fitness Chick, is her blog and Twitter moniker, posted yesterday. And I thought, I have never heard this. Apparently I'm not a foodie. I'm not great with the meal prep, as I always say. It's just the two of us during the week. But she said, I don't do meal prep, but I follow the cook once, eat thrice plan. And I thought, yes. I thought, okay, I do that. So we make stuff, and then she'll bring it for lunch the next day. I'll have it. And I thought, oh, okay, that is a form of meal planning. Because sometimes I feel badly I don't meal plan, but it's so easy with two of us.
I'm hit or miss with the meal planning. I was doing it for a little while. It was really helping, especially because I got the family involved. But then I find sometimes I need to flip back because I'm what I call a pantry cook. I do better sometimes just having a lot of things in stock and then reacting, because I think sometimes the meal plan backfires because if something goes wrong, like I forgot about a soccer practice or something, then it's like I feel like I didn't get to go through with the plan, and then now I'm all off. Whereas if I just say, hey, I have frozen chicken cutlets in the freezer, and I have brown rice in the pantry, and all these canned goods and frozen veggies, and then I'll stock up on my favorite fresh stuff, and I just kind of shop what's on sale, and then keep it all in stock. And I'm like, okay, well, I have at least enough food to make 5 dinners this week. So I'll just play it by ear. And I kind of flip
those meal planners that do it. And I think of Lindsay, the lean green bean. She's one, and it's amazing. It's Sunday. I've made in frozen every single breakfast. I've made in frozen every single snack. Everything's
much for me. Yeah, I'm there with you on that.
I would have said I was busy. It's not a priority. It's not busy.
No, yeah, it's not. For me, it's not. For me, I find that more cumbersome, and I think that's kind of one of these.
And restricting. I'm more the intuitive. With you, shopping the pantry, a little bit differently, but it feels very like I'm going to have this on this day at this time. Oh, what if I don't want that?
Yes, exactly. Well, and that's I was going to bring it back into the book. This is the concept of healthy living on your terms. I think sometimes we promote one way, like you must meal plan to be successful at weight loss, and you're like, well, no, not really. I was successful at weight loss, and I didn't meal plan. I not in the traditional sense of Sunday, I'm going to prep everything and know exactly what I'm going to eat Monday through Friday. But what worked for me was in the morning before I would go to work, when I worked outside of the home, I would look at the freezer and go, okay, I'm going to defrost these pork chops, and I have canned green beans, and I have potatoes. There's dinner. And I would write it. So I would meal plan day by day.
I was so much better when I worked outside the home. I would be up at
it was better when I worked
chopping vegetables and cutting chicken, and it was so much better. But okay, back to the book thing, the book release. Super fun. Everybody supported us. And I don't know if you got this or if it makes you think anything, because I know it doesn't make a lot of people think things. I got another text this morning from someone, a dear friend, who said, congratulations on the book release. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, yes. I know you have a thing with this
I
word.
do.
This P word. We're going to call it the P word.
P word for me. And I'm so curious if I'm alone in this, but I noticed it's actually ages ago. And I think you either have this gut reaction or you don't, that to me, being proud of someone, proud of me is an indication you know where I've been, you know how far I've come. It's about growth. So anyone who's my friend in any capacity for any length of time, it typically feels pretty good. But someone who doesn't know me very well, perhaps it's no, it's not a power thing. So I was thinking if it was from a boss, even if they hadn't known me for a while, they could probably say it, but it feels really condescending. If someone you don't know very well said to you, rockin' saying, I love your book, is that different than someone you don't know very well saying, oh, Ronnie, I'm so proud of you? It doesn't make you think you don't know me?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I get it because I think though living kind of a public life on the blog for the last 10 years, like I feel like I get a lot of proud comments, but I generally
But they feel like they know you.
Exactly. So I'm not usually, it does strike me funny because I would not say it to someone unless I knew who they were.
Yes, maybe that's it. Really
so
closely.
when I get it, but then I remember that this person has been reading my deepest, darkest inner thoughts for the last 10 years on my blog. They do feel like they know me. And I understand that. And I mean, that's kind of why I'm throwing myself out there. So I generally don't get that knee-jerk reaction kind of like, ooh, that was icky. I kind of just assume that, wow, this person feels that close to me. And I kind of have a sense of, it's not pride about it, but just like, I just get a sense of, I don't know what that emotion is. Just, it's like the good feels. I get the good,
feelings. You're right about the social media thing. And it was much more when my life was offline more. People I did not know very well, if they said, I'm really proud of you, it felt to me like, good job. I did not think you could do it. There was some condescension mixed in because they didn't know my growth or my history.
It's funny though, I have personally made, and I think I've made strides in this, I've personally made a commitment to myself not to ever, or try not to ever, be insulted by someone that what they say to me, like not to take things personally. And I've learned this from you. You say this all the time. It's never you, it's them. Yeah. So I generally like if people, anything from someone turning down an invitation to go someplace to someone using the wrong word. Like, I feel like we live in such a time where everyone is so careful about what they say and we're so sensitive about everything. And in certain things, I think we need to be because it does raise awareness. I mean, we're not going to get really deep, but if you think racial issues or things like, there are things where we do have to like raise the social consciousness of our culture. But from day to day, like me personally, I'm like, I kind of try to let things kind of roll off my back and just
No,
be like,
you're right.
Yeah,
I read that post on binge watching. Makes me nuts having worked with people with binge eating disorder.
Yes,
and it makes me crazy. But then I had a friend say, can I write a response? And will you put it on your blog? I'm like, sure. And basically she said what you said, like, oh my gosh, we need to just loosen up a little bit.
Yeah,
so I do agree with that.
Like, let it go. I mean, I feel like though expressing your like, hey, did you ever think that this could be construed this way?
Yes.
I think is a good thing, but not to do it in a, because you know people who do that thing where they're like, I cannot believe she said the word binge. Like it would be like this dramatic, like, oh my God.
You're right.
And I'm like, no, it's really not the end of the world. They didn't really mean it that way. But I think, and this is like what we talked about last week, like I feel like expressing my opinion in a non-confrontational way on social media is really useful, and it kind of diffuses some of that drama that just seems to happen naturally where you're just like, really, you can let this go.
It is that drama. And I love Twitter for some reason, even though people say, ugh, Twitter now, it's too much sales. I still really love it. But I am really careful because it's 140 characters. Things can get so easily misconstrued that I'm careful. Okay, how could this be read in a way I did not intend?
I try to be really conscious. Like the one time, do you remember when there was that big to do about Jennifer Lawrence's photos being stolen? Yes. She had naked photos, and I tried to make a tongue-in-cheek joke about this. I'm like, people, don't take naked photos of yourself. and put them on your phone. It was like I did make it like a tongue in cheek. And I'm like, and I was attacked for this. Like, if you're victim blaming and you're this and that. And I'm like,
I overuse the emojis for that very reason.
Yes. And so I was like, look, I still have a personal opinion that if I had a daughter or even my sons, hey guys, don't take naked pictures of yourself on the phone. I'm like, it's advice. And I feel like I'm not condemning them. Hey, if you want to take naked pictures of yourself on your phone, more power to you.
Get out.
But you have to know the risks. And I kind of use the example of I don't lock my car doors. Hello, all robbers out there. Lonnie does not lock her car doors. I have a 2000 beat up Civic, 300,000 miles on it.
I was telling my husband how you didn't realize they had those reverse mirrors until you rented a car.
Yes. So I'm like, what am I protecting here? I have nothing in this car except for
It's almost like make it easier. They'll open it, look, and not smash anything.
So I feel like if my car does get robbed or stolen or the radio gets taken out of it, will not people say to me, you know what? You probably should lock your doors. And by saying that, are they victim blaming me? Or like we have this like knee-jerk reaction where it's like people can't give advice anymore based
and it's
on
hard on Twitter because I think it was a tweet.
Yes. Well, it's only 140 characters, so you can't.
Yes, and then it doesn't become I remember someone saying to me once before I joined the Twitters, oh my gosh, I had the best. It was Steph Kilau, skinny jeans. I had the best thread going with Ronnie. And I remember thinking, oh, should I join the Twitter? But I imagined it because I wasn't on Twitter, like a Facebook thread. But no, it's not as easy to follow. So it's not like you can have a discussion.
Well, and I was like, well, actually, I did have a discussion with a few people. Actually, well, I'm going to go there. But I did have a discussion back and forth with a few people. And it's funny because the one thing that I will kind of pride myself on is I never put something out there that I don't 100%
exactly
agree.
Yes.
So, and I don't mind. I actually really kind of enjoy really thoughtful conversations. So when then people brought it up to me like, oh, are you victim blaming? I'm like, you know what? I could see how what I said could be construed that way. But at the same time, you got to see the other side of it. Like, we're not allowed to now give advice to people. We're not allowed to like learn from a situation that happened to someone else and kind of apply that to ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we're not allowed to have a conversation about this. Like I'm not condemning the action. I have a lot of friends who like to be naked. I don't think it's a big deal. Like I feel like it's not that big of a deal. I'm not condemning the action, but I feel like as a human being who lives in a society, we kind of have to like learn how to play by the rules and like what works and what doesn't and what risks we want to take and what ones we don't. And I kind of, as a parent, I always like I'm like, would I give this advice to my son?
And I think
yes.
And it's that being comfortable with what you are sharing. You make such a good point about the whole proud thing. I'm fine with it. If it was a reader I'd never heard of saying, I'm so proud of you, because it's that growth. Right. I wish I could think of what it was, but so often it's happened to me before social media where I think, oh, this feels condescending. It feels like the message you're sending is, this is not a very big deal, whatever this is. But for you, it's a really big deal. So I'm super
yes, I know.
So it was more that, and I'm thinking more is when I was working in the college setting too. It was that kind of, so it's such a laden word for me. And now, years later, I just grin when someone uses it. Our friend Brandy said, I'm so proud of you. And all that, it makes me smile because I feel like, wow, we feel connection. So that really makes me feel good.
That's good. Yeah. I only know what you're saying only because I have had that like, oh, why are they using the word proud moment before? But I kind of just went, that's a big deal.
Hey, this is the perfect segue. Where did Brandy used to write for?
Diets in Review.
And what is today? Even though it won't be the day we share the podcast, what is today?
Today is National No Diet Day, which I was not aware of until you yet again informed me.
I think I notice this like every year because then I make the stupid joke to myself. I don't put it out on Twitter, AKA every single day. So I always think that, oh, and our book review, the best book review we've gotten. Well, not the best, but one of the best phrasing that we loved was, this is the book the diet industry doesn't not want you to read.
Yes. National No Diet. Okay. Yeah. So I am so not in touch with like national quote unquote days. I have no idea when they come until I see someone mention it on Twitter.
Yeah, I think I probably saw an RD.
I got to out myself really because I just kind of, I kind of roll my eyes. I'm like, really? It's National Donut Day. It's National
Taco
Nachos Day. It's like,
well, and this one only fits well into the article that you wanted to discuss.
Yes.
Which I thought was perfect.
Yeah. So I was looking for, I really kind of sometimes when on podcasts talk about like the diet and food. Cause again, I stem from weight loss. So it's one of those things that kind of I really relate to. And so I happened to be on abcnews.com and there's this article, can an ice cream diet be good for you? And before I even started reading the article, I rolled my eyes. I thought
it was going to be like Subway, the Subway diet. When you sent it over,
yes, I'm like, really? And so if I read the article and I looked up a few more articles and I'm like, it seems to be like, you know how it like picks up that little media steam and then all of a sudden you see like the ice cream diet, it's everywhere. Ice cream diet. You could eat ice cream and lose weight. Look how Ronnie ate ice cream and lost weight. Like it's like this, they take like every possible spin they can. And it's like the wheel just turning. And I'm like, are you guys serious? Are we going to do, if you remember last year, or maybe it was it might even be 3 years ago because time is just zooming right by. But there was that doctor who did the Twinkie diet who proved that he can lose weight by only eating Twinkies or eating Twinkies for 2 meals a day, or I don't know. I don't even remember the details. It was the
McDonald's diet.
It was, the McDonald's thing. And I just think, like, when are we just going to stop this madness?
I really can't believe it's going to be a book. That blew my mind. That's going to be the Ice Cream Diet book out from St. Martin's Press in August. Maybe we'll have them on as guests for a podcast. We can live broadcast from Baskin Robbins.
No. This shall be the last time we mention the
Well, I can share what it says at the beginning of the article, because when I saw that, I thought, only because my brain is in social media, clickbait with a title. But go on and share a little bit of the beginning.
So, and I think this is the one I sent you. I'm not sure, but so we'll have to say it. But this is, can an ice cream diet be good for you? According to the newest diet featured in Prevention magazine, you can lose weight and eat ice cream once a day, too. And the trick is moderation and eating healthy meals the rest of the day while on the diet. Women may have 1 cup of ice cream and men may have 1.5 cups per day. You should lose low-fat ice cream that contains 125 calories or fewer per half cup serving for a total of only 250 calories a day.
That blew my mind.
Right. So so wait a minute. So if you
have 3 tablespoons of ice cream.
Well, yeah, if you eat so basically what they're saying is if you wycwyc your ice cream usage.
Yes.
Right. So if you eat a moderate diet and you like to indulge every now and then in ice cream, you could still lose weight, which is like, is this not a moment? I'm like, I feel like, are we just trying to find a new way to package the same information? And I kind of get why it happens. And this is when, the story of when we first started farming out our book proposals. If you remember, like 3 years ago, the feedback we got was what? Do you remember?
You need a hook.
You need a hook. And I have a blog post that I wrote back then was I'm like, the hook is there are no hooks.
Yes. But it's the ice cream diet. That is the hook, even if it's not what's between the covers.
Yes. Which is why I'm kind of proud of us for coming up with a hook that's not a hook. It's a hook. It's funny because I sound like a raving lunatic, but one of the guys at the gym said to me today, or not today, this was a few weeks ago. He's like, really, wycwyc, what you can when you can. Do you really think people can reach their goals that way? And I was like,
I know.
Yeah, well, yeah. My knee-jerk reaction, although I held it in, was, well, it works for me and it's been working for me and here I am. Yeah. So there was that. But you know what how I framed my response? I said, well, the publisher said we needed a hook. And he said, oh, so it's like marketing? And I thought with a smitten thought, and I had a smitten little smirk on my face. And I'm like, yeah, it's all about the marketing. And it's really not further. It's like kind of not further from the truth. I mean, in a way it's about marketing, and I'm proud of us for having kind of this like hooky, catchy wycwyc. It's fun.
Mantra.
Yeah, and it's easy for people to find each other on social media. I mean, there's a lot of benefits.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, what we're selling is nothing. It is not a hook. It's not, there's no trick. There is no just eat.
It's how our grandma stayed fit.
Yeah, like I'm always like, it's like not the cabbage soup diet or the just eat grapefruit before every meal diet or the, hey, have a cup of ice cream before you go to bed diet. Like those things, I feel like, I hope they are slowly dying in our culture. And I'm hoping that we can help kind of shove them out.
It still makes me smile, and we can't really announce it yet because we don't know for sure, but someone reached out to us who I like to think everybody knows. I'm going to butcher his name now. Who's Seth Godin? Is that how we say it? Seth Godin?
Seth Godin? Oh, yeah. I've been reading him for years.
Love him. And so the guy who reached out to us to be on his podcast has had Seth on. He's a really big and successful podcaster. But I was so smiling when his email to me basically said, hey, do you want to come on and talk about wycwyc, written out wycwyc, like he got it. He knew there was a pronunciation. And I thought, I know that the publishing term, whether it's used widely or not for something that doesn't sell well, it's a cult classic. But whether people get it or not, we didn't sell out. We believe this. We didn't try to sell it and spin it as something it's not. It works.
No, it feels really, it's funny because like I said before about, I never put anything out there on social media or Twitter, like hey, you shouldn't post naked pictures of yourself if I don't truly kind of stand behind what and that's kind of how I feel about wycwyc. And that's how, like last week we talked about kind of our fear about the book. And my fear was like people not seeing how important it is and kind of dismissing it. And that is truly my fear, because to me, it really is the mindset that has helped me be so much happier and reach my goals in life. Like it is. So yeah, there is no faking it. It's just,
and you started to say it too, which is so, I think, powerful to people outside of our tribe, the in life. I think this guy gets it because I don't know whether he's ever struggled with fitness. He's super fit, but in order to be as successful as he is in his world of work, he has got to have done baby steps to big goals, a little bit each day. There's no way you don't to be successful in anything.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. I mean, we just really are telling people in a way kind of what they already know, but giving them, I don't know, a foundation and a starting point and a community. Right. So it's like, hey, let's do this together, which I think is super powerful. I mean, for me, I've always said the huge part of my success was the blog. And even though no one was reading it in the beginning, the few people that did, there was this sense of, oh, other people struggle with this, or, oh, I'm not alone in this thought process, or, oh, someone else felt this way. And there's this validation that for me personally, I think I needed to move on. And I think so when you get that tribe and finding that group where people just go, I understand why you need to celebrate that you didn't have French fries at Chick-fil-A last night, which is something I celebrated yesterday. That they understand why you're celebrating that. And it sounds so cheesy to say, but it's so powerful for me, because the fact that I know people will respond to that and go, oh my God, how did you do that? I struggle with that. And I'm thinking, so do I. That's why it's so huge. And they just kind of get it. And I'm like,
yes, I wish we could encourage more people. I search the hashtag all the time and have never searched a hashtag before, mostly because I read and I think, oh, I didn't think about that. That's a good one. I'm going to use that. But if we could get more people to share, and maybe we lead by example, struggling. Because I think there are so many people out there. A couple people have shared, and I've noticed a couple really active members on Twitter jumping in and saying, no, you got this. But I think that's so important too, the ability to know you're putting it out there. Other people are searching the hashtag and will help.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there are kind of like two sides of the coin, right? There's the patting yourself on the backside, which I think is important, because I think if you don't
patting yourself on the backside. I'm going to start doing that.
It's totally a pun. I didn't even mean it. My husband would be so proud of me right now for an unintentional pun. But patting yourself on the back and sharing that, I think, is important, because it gives that sense of pride and that sense of accomplishment, and that just it's motivating, and that acknowledging that what you're doing matters.
You're stopping in that moment.
Yes. And then the flip side to that would be that when you are struggling, or you're like, I do this all the time, actually. Like there's times when I've planned on running, but then I just don't feel like getting out of the front door. And I will literally put on my Facebook page, someone push me out the front door. I really want to run, but I cannot get my feet to literally go out the door. And then without fail, someone will say, that's the hardest part. You're not going to regret it. No one ever regrets a run. And then it's like, again, that feeling of not being alone and just going like, I think the struggle is real and it is not always easy. And I don't know, just having that little extra push. Yeah, so those are like the two sides of the wycwyc coin. There's the celebratory acknowledgement and pride in yourself and letting you feel comfortable patting yourself in the back and letting the community pat you on the back. And then there's the, I just really need someone to hear me. I need someone to help me. I need someone to push me. And then, like you always say, right? Ask for help, ask for a nudge. Oh, it's so important. And it's so helpful. Yeah.
And I say that I don't need that or want that, but I've said this before. My child, I will always say when I'm going to do something physical, it's usually even just taking a walk, sometimes cardio, I'll say, okay, you got to say it. And she'll say, go, mama, go, go, mama, go. But I'm like, we all need that.
Yeah. And we all need, I mean, I really think actually the ask chapter in the book is probably one of my favorites because I think acknowledging that everyone needs something different and not to make an assumption about what you need is really huge. And to articulate that, I think so many, especially, I'm going to say it again, even though I shouldn't, especially women, we have a hard time asking because we're the ones who are supposed to be taking care of everyone else. And then we just kind of, I don't know if it's genetic or inherent or cultural or I don't know what it is, but we just feel like we shouldn't need help or we're ashamed to ask for help. I don't know what it is.
What if we don't get it? I forwarded you an email today where I asked for something and I thought, oh, this feels so awkward, but I'm just going to ask. Got an email back where they didn't leap at my ask, but said, yeah, I'll file that away. Could have totally been a brush off, but instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I asked and I didn't get what I needed, I thought, oh great, I've planted the seed. Who knows when that will take root? So you may ask your husband, can you get up earlier so I can go do yoga? And it doesn't happen right away, but you have planted that seed by articulating what you need.
Right. Yeah. And I think expressing, and it's that like, sometimes I think we're afraid to be assertive. Like you were with your husband at the walk. It's like there's a fear there where it's like, am I putting my needs ahead of theirs? Should I not? I feel
uncomfortable. It was such a good reminder for me how it is just starting out with this. It was so awkward because I knew the minute I said, let's walk, that the tape in his head I could be guessing, seriously, can we not just drive? It's not very far. You're not going to get a lot of steps. And that was the whole reason why I thought, let's walk. We have the time.
You know what, though, too? I think it is awkward. I think, though, when you start to learn how to ask, it gets less awkward. There's something, because I think, and I'm a big confidence person. I think it's because you get more confident, and the more confident you are in your asks, the less awkward it is, especially because, and I don't know if I can articulate this, you're not wrapping up the ask in a lot of other feelings. Like you just said, like, I wonder how he's going to react. I wonder if like you just are confidently going, I want to walk. Is that cool? And
you're right, because I wasn't asking. I was just saying, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And he didn't push back, which is so interesting. And when he didn't, I thought, you may not want to do this, but you're a grown man. You didn't say anything. Let's go.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because I have a friend who's very, one thing I love about our relationship is that we could travel together. And if one of us wants to do something and the other one wants to do something else or whatever, there is no baggage. Like you just posted about this on your Facebook wall about what was the quote about
being able to say whatever you want to someone.
And I think sometimes we think that has to do with the someone, and it might, but sometimes I think it also has to do with us. Like because I think if you act as if everyone around you is someone that you could say anything to, then soon you will weed out the people that you can't say anything to. And
when the intention is pure, they're not.
Yes. That totally. Yeah. And I think I used to describe one of my friends as, I feel like I constantly have to walk on eggshells with you, which is like what you said. Yes, the worst. It's just like, why do I feel like I'm constantly insulting you or making you feel guilty what is that? And it's like a weird thing that I think certain relationships are, I don't know.
That would be a good podcast, the whole toxic people.
Types of people,
Pruning your friendship tree of the toxic people by doing what you can. Yes. Coming to you in episode 16.
No, we are in episode 16.
Episode 17. Oh, you cannot edit that out. We got to leave that vote
No,
by.
I would totally leave that in. I would totally leave
So
that in.
did you pick a wycwycker of the week?
I did. I'm going to use our other email that we got, which I think is fabulous. So I could go first, or if you want to go first.
Mine is very simple.
Okay.
Marsha Schultz, Instagram, not a new post, but she just took a picture of her April calendar with a big thumbs up and put consistency is the key in script across it. And I thought, that is what I do. I don't do a lot any given day, but every day I do something, from my fiction writing to fitness, everything. And I thought, that just speaks to me. Yes, it's as simple as that. It doesn't even need to be a book. It's one word.
Consistency. That's the word.
I loved that. That really spoke to me.
That could be the word of the day, which actually, if that consistency is your wycwycker of the week word, my wycwycker of the week word is process. No, that did not flow the way I wanted it to flow. I'll just read the email, then you'll get what I was trying to say. Okay, so we got an email from Jill.
Can you tell us how, for the listeners, they submit these emails? Because they're so fun to get.
They are really super fun. So on wycwyc.com, that's wycwyc.com, we have a submit your wycwyc story to us. And it's just an email that gets sent to us, but there's a little form that you could fill out. So if you have a story to share about wycwyc or how wycwyc is helping you, or anything.
Anything beautiful.
We love to get them, and then we share them on Facebook or here in the podcast or on the blog. And really, there is no rhyme or reason to how we share it. It's just whatever works that day. So we did share one yesterday on the blog, and it was the husband one we mentioned earlier about how this woman's husband just gets it and how it's been contagious in their pursuit of fitness, which is great.
Love that word.
So this one is from Jill, and the subject of her email was focusing on the process. So she says, "Hi, Ronnie and Carla. So in one of your earlier episodes, you talked about the importance of focusing on the process. It was right before I was set to start training for my third half marathon. And at that time, I was dreading the next 12 weeks. My second half did not go well, and I was not looking forward to the early mornings and the time commitment and all of that which comes with training. But the idea of focusing on the process and she means really stuck with me. And I've spent my training seeing every small step, each spinning or yoga class or cross training, each mile completed, each morning, each social engagement missed, as part of a much bigger picture to being a stronger and more awesome me. So here I am, almost 3 months later, a week and a half away from the half marathon. And she's this is all in caps, so I have to express this. So looking forward to tackling those 13.1 miles. So thank you, ladies, so very, very much."
So it'll be, if I have this right, if it's a week and a half away, when this posts, it'll be the coming Sunday, probably.
Yes, it'll be that weekend after this. Yes.
That made me smile. And I thought, what, unless we are sponsored athletes and this is your income, that's how it should be. Enjoy the process.
Well, yeah, because really, why else are you doing it? And I think sometimes we look at training if you are training for a running event, sometimes it's what you're giving up instead of what you're gaining. Just like with anything, you can frame it. And I know for me, when I do a running event, especially, I did the marathon last November. Oh my gosh. It's really that I remember that feeling of crossing the finish line. And that's what's I'm no, this is all worth it. It's gonna be so fun. So for Jill, I'm kind of jealous that she's looking at a half marathon next weekend. It's gonna be really funny. And the process, especially when you make progress in things, it's really fun to kind of just see how far you've come on your own training progress. It's something that I kind of really enjoy.
I know. I love this whole episode was super fun. We almost didn't do it because it's been a busy week with the book launch. But
we can say that almost every week.
Yeah, we do.
But it's true. Wow, we fit it in. But I think, and I told you this offline, so I would say it online because I really, really mean it. The podcast is so energizing for me. I'm becoming to a point where I need it once a week.
Yes. It's the same thing that you said earlier about getting encouragement from skimming the hashtag, wherever it is. It's that, somebody else is feeling my exact same things. And when we're done with the recording, I'm yes, I'm ready to take on my whole day.
It's true. Yes. And I feel like sometimes when you are promoting a book or blogging, it's like a very lonely thing. And so having this hour for us to just chat, it's just in and of itself really energizing. So that's good.
And it goes back to the weight loss thing. I think that can feel really isolating as well. Even if you are doing Weight Watchers meetings, it's once a week. But that's why I love social media. There are so many great pieces to it, and the community it's always there.
It is always there. So on that note, we're going to end with our classic wycwyc. So go check the wycwyc hashtag out and see if you can encourage someone or share or celebrate today. That would be great.
Wycwyc.
All right, guys. Bye-bye. Wycwyc. Okay, we did it.
Oh my gosh, that was really good. Okay, I'm going to go and brain dump some stuff to put into a post before it leaves my brain.
I'm going to prep. I didn't do it yet. I'm just going to add the links into the YouTube video because I'd like to do I don't know if you've noticed, but I put like a click here to see the last episode.
Love that.
Click here to see the next episode. I figured that way if we catch somebody and they're in the zone, although I'm not sure how useful it is, but it only takes me 4 or 5 minutes. So I'm going to do that and then I'll publish this week's podcast within the next hour.
Okay, and I'm going to go brain dump this right now.
Awesome. Talk to you later.
That was so fun. Goodbye.
Bye.